do you want us on video?
I'm not on video. You guys can more than welcome to do it though.
Well, we have awesome backgrounds, Cameron.
Yeah.
You do. This is awesome. My goodness, awesome.
I think
I
we've
don't
got,
really have an awesome background, so I'll stay off the video if that's okay.
You know what? You know what, Amanda?
y'all have got
it.
about y'all have got
That-
about a minute before folks start coming in, so I just wanted to give you a little warning.
Yeah, thank you. You know, Amanda, that's the difference between public sector, right? And public and private, right? Public sector, you get some good graphics to put up in the background.
So Cameron, what I'll do is when I see folks start coming in, we'll just give it maybe a minute and then I'll go ahead and just do an intro for the session. Are you okay with that?
Yep, sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. I don't know if you all will be able to see them coming in or not. I can't tell what you all can see, but
Yes, we can actually.
okay.
As an attendee, I didn't think I could join before like 12:30 on the dot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're starting to roll in now.
Yeah, I think folks are starting to come in, so we'll give it a minute.
And Lisa, there's Darren. So
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure.
Darren's a veteran of this customer panel specifically. So
Well, it looks like there's a good steady group of folks coming in, so I'll just go ahead and start this introduction if you're all right, Cameron.
absolutely.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Michelle with Quest, and I'd like to welcome you to today's Oracle Guided Learning Customer Panel. I do have a few reminders before we get started. Attendees will remain muted throughout the session. However, if you would like to be unmuted to ask a question, you may raise your hand. Attendees can also please type their questions into the Q&A module into the Zoom toolbar. We will address any questions at the end of the session. So right now, I'll just turn this over to Cameron.
Okay, thank you. We're really excited to be with you. And let me just say, I'm personally very excited. This is my last session with Reconnect. It's been a crazy week, and I'm sure you guys have all gotten a lot out of this. There's been a lot of great sessions, a lot of sessions that Spear MC has done, a lot of sessions the other partners have done. And so I hope that you all got a lot of value, not just, of course, Oracle Guided Learning, but a lot of PeopleSoft topics this week. So it's really great. And we look forward to seeing you guys in person, hopefully, next year at Blueprint 4D. I think that's in Dallas again next year. So that's me, Cameron McClurg. I'm going to be the facilitator for today for this customer panel. I have been doing PeopleSoft work for a very long time. Most of that time was actually as an analyst and then eventually a manager and director on the customer side. So I managed PeopleSoft. I was supporting it, doing training, support, all that kind of stuff, rolling out new features at a couple organizations. And so I got a lot of background from as a user and a customer of Oracle. And then within the last 5 years, as I joined Spear MC, I get to take that perspective into how we do a lot of our consulting engagements and why I'm so excited about Oracle Guided Learning, because it's something that I really would have liked a lot to have when I was a customer managing support and training for PeopleSoft. So I live now in Southern California, but born and raised in Seattle, and worked at a few places up there in Seattle. I'll talk a little bit about Spear MC, and then I'm going to introduce each of the panelists, and each of the panelists will give a little background on their own setup for their organization, how they're using OGL, that sort of thing. And then we'll go into questions that I have. I have questions But just so you know, please go ahead and submit questions if you'd like to hear from the panelists. Feel free to just go ahead and put that in the Q&A box on the Zoom thing. So looking forward to some good questions from all of you. All right, so SpearMC, you've probably heard this now 100 times this week. We do a little bit of everything, but our core thing that we do is PeopleSoft. That's what we focus on, all things PeopleSoft. We don't do a lot that's not PeopleSoft, except Oracle Guided Learning is a new product, but it's really related to the use and value that it provides to PeopleSoft customers. We are the exclusive partner for OGL, specifically because of our legacy and our focus on training. We started out as a training organization a long time ago, and that is still in our DNA. We believe in supporting our customers through empowering them to understand the application, understand the value proposition, all the features, all that stuff. And as such, as we have focused on that over the years, as well as embracing new technology, we were a natural sort of lead for Oracle to approach about taking Oracle Guided Learning out to the masses of the PeopleSoft audience. And that's what we've been doing for the last couple of years. Really excited about being in that position. And I feel it's an honor to work with all of you and bring this product to all of you in the PeopleSoft world. We have specializations and recognition that I will just pass through quickly, but it is nice to have that. And we feel it's an honor, again, to be recognized by Oracle, by Gartner, and also to get our SOC 2 Type 2 certification, which we got last year, which helps us on our managed services side. Also, tons of training coming. Like I said, training is part of DNA. We're not only just retaining and maintaining our old training, but we're actually building new training content. We're rolling out new things all the time, including a bunch of new campus solutions training this fall and winter. I know most of you probably are not interested in campus solutions. Perhaps you attend the Higher Education User Group conference as well. But campus solutions is a thing that we're building out. Technical stuff. I actually teach our query class, and maybe I've had some of you in my class from time to time. So I do all that. We have PTF coming, just a ton of training, and you can visit our website or actually use that QR code to see the calendar of the upcoming training classes that we have. Okay, so that's a little bit about me and SpearMC. Let's jump into our panelists. I'm really thrilled to have three of our customers who have all done OGL, and they each have a little bit of a different story to tell, which I really like. Ben is a customer that I've worked with now for many years prior to just doing the work with OGL, and was a great person to work with. He was the first one to say yes to me, to say let's do OGL together, and that was an honor for me. And so, Ben, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your organization?
Sure. Thanks, Cameron. So my name is Ben Amster. I am the Deputy Director of the Business Systems Division in the City of Seattle's Office of Finance, with responsibility over citywide financial systems, which is primarily our PeopleSoft Financials ERP. On the next slide, just a bit of information about the city and our use of PeopleSoft. We first implemented PeopleSoft Financials back in 1999 to get around some Y2K issues in our legacy system. We do not run PeopleSoft for HR. We have a legacy system in place there. We did a pretty massive, what we called a re-implementation of PeopleSoft in 2018 to try to decustomize and get towards this model of sort of continuing to stay up to date through more regular PUM updates and tools updates than we've been doing in the future. When we started on 9.2 back in 2018, we continued to run Classic, and it wasn't until we went to Tools 8.5.9 and Fluid in May of this year that we sort of took that jump to Fluid, and that's where OGL we deployed to try to help our organization bridge some of the challenges that were going to come with that transition. We had many people who'd been using PeopleSoft for many years, if not decades, and now everything was changing for them. So I think on the next slide, we've got some metrics for what our rollout looked like. We targeted our Oracle guided learning rollout to our sort of most frequently inquired processes, about 20 of them, and that we wanted those guides to be in place for when we went live with Fluid, so that people could find what they were looking for very quickly after the UI changed. We also used OGL around our Fluid Go Live to get information in front of users to other sorts of references that we have. We'd made some short videos, just sort of explaining some of the basic Fluid concepts, and we use OGL to sort of link users out to those videos if they were interested. And I think you can see here sort of the graph showing 2 peaks. The first peak when we pushed out, it's time to warn all our users that Fluid's coming and everything's going to be different in a couple weeks. And then the second peak with a sort of a second big push that we did of, here's Fluid, it's all different, here's where you go for help. And you see that that's sort of our peak of guide runs and user engagement, and then sort of smaller usage on an ongoing basis. We do have some users that will go in if they're doing a process for the first time potentially, or if they're otherwise new, but really not enough to show up pretty significantly on this graph relative to those big peaks we had around the big changes that we were rolling out.
And Ben, let me jump in there. I think the story for City of Seattle is really great because I love that you used it essentially as a messaging system to tell people about this big change that was happening. You were handling essentially the change management with this tool, which again, if we approach OGL as, oh, it's a UPK replacement or it's a training tool, you miss the bigger picture of what this tool really is all about. So how did that go in terms of did you see a positive impact on essentially change management with respect to your go live?
Yeah, I mean, I think the go live went very smoothly, and OGL is definitely a big part of that. I think also we're going into our first year end with Fluid OGL, and we've been brainstorming internally on how we can use OGL to push out some of our year end messages. We have information on a SharePoint, we reiterate information via email, and we, inevitably every year we'll hear from a user, oh, I didn't see that email, or, oh, I didn't know about the SharePoint. And so, even just telling users, here's where all the references are, here's the key deadlines that are coming up. It's something that if they log in at all, we can force them to see in a way that can't be ignored like an email. And so I suspect if we were to do this, after the first of the year, we'll see another spike with whatever our year-end messaging looks like.
Yeah, and I should have started out this whole presentation by saying this, but I see there's about 57 people on this session. If this is your first session about Oracle Guided Learning, definitely ping me and I can get you some information from the other sessions that we did. We did more of a deep dive in previous sessions on how OGL works and how it interacts with PeopleSoft and more sort of look and feel. This session is really about 3 individual customers' experience. But if you feel that you don't have enough information on what it is actually and want to see it, definitely ping me and I will get you help with that specifically. And we even do the demo for you in your organization. So unfortunately, this session we're not really diving into just basically how OGL works. So it's really just the effects of it. So anyway, thank you, Ben. Anything else you want to add, or should we move on to the next person here?
Nothing else to add right now.
Okay, great. Okay, Lisa, you're up.
All right. Welcome everybody. Lisa Berg from the state of North Dakota. I work for our information technology department, and I've been working with the state since 2018. And along with that, we have gone through a lot of different implementations and transitions, kind of like Ben with the Fluid. We've done that in the past. As we move through, we used UPK, and as we know, UPK had an end of life and we were trying to look for other solutions, and we stumbled across OGL. And initially OGL was only available for cloud, but later found out that it was available on premise. And I'm like, we have to pursue this because I think it's exactly what we want. we obviously, with the tools that it would give us, it would not only replace UPK, like Cameron said, there's more to it than that. We can put messages right up in front of our users and whatnot. So we scheduled the demo with SpearMC to actually look at OGL, and as we were more and more interested in it, about the time that we worked with SpearMC, they were offering us to actually obtain a starter kit, which was some delivered guides already put together. So we didn't have to like recreate the wheel, which we just reviewed them, like determine which ones that we wanted to utilize. And then from that list, we said, okay, yep, these are all good, but we also have additional ones as well, because we had implemented a lot of different functionality that wasn't already covered. So it was a great partnership to do that. And we worked through a lot of testing of the different guides. The one thing that I want to say that we are a pioneer of is that we have implemented OGL not only on one pillar, but we have implemented OGL on Portal, HCM, FSCM, ELM. So we have implemented OGL on many pillars. One thing that we did do during the implementation is that we I think it's maybe by circumstance that this happened, and I'm very grateful that we did this. We had a People Tools 8x9 update that we implemented in April, and we decided, hey, let's roll out OGL at that time. It'll be like a soft rollout. We'll kind of make sure everything's working, because again, we were implementing OGL across with Portal and across all pillars, and we just want to make sure we had all the kinks worked out. So we did that, and with that we implemented a couple beacons, some messages, and smart tips. So we just focused on utilizing OGL for that at the rollout. We did stumble across a couple of things that came up during our testing, but we worked with SpearMC and they quickly helped us resolve those issues with Oracle. And so we had solutions by the time that we were ready to implement the actual guides. And right as we were going to implement the guides, which maybe within a month of when we were gonna publish our guides, they had a new functionality that would allow us to add role security on the different guides that we published, which was pretty cool. So as a user, when you logged in and you only wanted to see the financial guides, your roles would indicate what guides that you would see, which again was very exciting for us because we didn't want everybody to see everything and they were trying to sort through all the guides. So that was really, really cool. We have implemented in September, we implemented about 77 guides, and again, it was across all pillars. And since then, we've republished some guides because we've had some updates, because we had an image update that impacted some of our processes. And we have also added and published some new guides as well since then. And where we're at currently is kind of developing a cadence to push out new guides on a monthly basis, because we are all about change management at the state of North Dakota. So along with publishing the guides, we also do comms as well to send out to the different user groups so they know what guides are being published. So we implemented all of our guides, a lot of our guides in September. So OGL is very new to us. And Cameron, if you want to go to the slides that show the usage, you'll kind of see along with that, we implemented a process for users when they actually logged into PeopleSoft after we published all of our guides, and it let the users know what OGL was, where to find the guides, what to do if they wanted to use them, and it kind of explained it, which was really cool. And I believe, Ben, you guys use that same thing at the city of Seattle, which we we heard that and I'm like, okay, we have to have that too, because that was pretty nice feature. But again, you can use OGL to do so many things. If you want attention brought forward to something, you can easily do a message or a beacon, or if it's a new functionality and you want people and users to understand what it is, you can put a smart tip that hovers over a tile, and maybe you have additional information on another website or something. You can just add a link that will go right to that page with the additional information. But yeah, so it has a lot of functionality and we're pretty happy with it, but so much more that we can do with it as well.
And yeah, sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
No, go ahead, Cameron.
Well, I was going to just ask some follow-up questions. So, yeah, so I want, well, one thing I want to point out was what you're looking at here on these slides is screenshots of the built-in analytics into the OGL tool itself. So this is all just, there's no configuration here. They're just there. They work. You can toggle. You can see here, this is a 90-day view of what's called the optimization dashboard. Tells you a little bit about how those guys are engaged. And this, you can see here, when of course there was a big rollout of a bunch of guides, and kind of see how it's actually, how you're doing, see which guides are being used the most, which are being run, versus ones that are actually not being used very much. So okay, so that gives you some insights right into, maybe we interact with those individuals who are in these areas and say, hey, do you know they're out there? And maybe we get a little bit more intentional about putting actually a welcome message to the people that are in these areas. And I see these are both in HR. So maybe, maybe Lisa, you will talk about something offline to say, hey, maybe we need to pop up a message for HR folks and say, hey, these are there, right? You can maybe wordsmith it better than that. But the point is, that's the kind of thing you can do with these analytics and see some of that. I know you guys are just, a couple months into this. Are you using analytics at all yet to drive some of your roadmap for OGL? And Ben, you can feel free to answer that one too. And I know we're going to get to our next panelist, but just real quick, let me ask that question.
Yeah, I think we're early enough yet, Cameron, that we haven't yet. I think we need to do more promoting of the guides that they're there. Like, you've indicated, like, we told them that they're there, but are they needing to use it? Or maybe they forgot that it's there. So I think we're in the early stages for it to really drive where we need things. And what we're looking at doing in the future is possibly utilizing that feedback and surveys functions within OGL that we can reach out to the users and pull them to figure out what maybe we missed the boat on something, and they can give us feedback to that.
Yeah, that's great. Ben, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna add from the metrics side for us, I'd say it's less about the great metrics that OGL has and more about, like, from the help desk side, where are we getting a flurry of activity that we could reduce by pushing people to the OGL guide? And then, where is there a disconnect if we're getting a lot of inquiries in a particular area, but we have an OGL, and our help desk ticketing system doesn't have nearly this level of detail. So, we really need to either engage with the staff directly on where they're seeing the action, or, go through tickets and try to figure out where the value is in expanding OGL.
That's great. And I have follow-up questions, but before I do that, I'm going to get into our next panelist because I want to make sure I ask questions to everybody. So Amanda, you're up. Why don't you give us a little breakdown of what's going on over at Samaritan's Purse?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, everyone. As Cameron mentioned, my name is Amanda Doty, and I'm the IT training and facilitation lead at Samaritan's Purse. And just to give you a little background of Samaritan's Purse, we're an international humanitarian organization known for our relief and development work, as well as commitment to Christian faith-based values. So Samaritan's Purse has been around since 1970, was established by Franklin Graham. Most of you know he's the son of the evangelist Billy Graham. And our main mission is to provide spiritual and physical aid to people in their most desperate times of need. So we're headquartered in Boone, North Carolina, but our operations span all around the world. We have approximately 3,800 domestic staff, about 400 international staff, and close to 2,000, we call them DART members, who are on call to respond to crisis. Most of you probably know Samaritan's Purse for Operation Christmas Child, but we are certainly known for the emergency disaster response efforts. And this includes distributing water, clean water shelters, medical care, long-term recovery efforts to communities to rebuild. And then we're involved in lots of other programs such as field hospitals, vocational training internationally, and supporting community initiatives as well. We implemented Oracle Guided Learning back in January of this year as a tool, of course, to enhance training and user support all throughout our different ministries. Initially, the organization began with a team of about 15 of us who were involved in the training concepts related to OGL through OGL University and also the workshop that Cameron and his team put on. We quickly recognized that creating guides and mastering the advanced features and managing guide development was a substantial effort for our team. And so we've kind of taken a different approach to adjust our focus to one dedicated employee at Samaritan's Purse, which is me, being responsible for building the guides. Although I've had a lot of expert consultants like Tarun working with me, and we've just collaborated in developing our guides. We initially took existing job aids from the HR department related to the HCM side of PeopleSoft and just expanded them. And this has resulted in us creating about 120 guides since March, I believe, is when we began building. So in addition to the domestic initiatives that we've had, Samaritan's Purse is also deploying HR and finance to our 18 field offices worldwide. So the first 2 field offices, the focus has been more on manager self-service and manager self-service, but employee self-service isn't currently being used in those locations, so didn't need quite as many guides there. Our country offices encounter a lot of variations in their processes due to country-specific requirements like country IDs and time off requests and how they manage their employees, which does cause us to have to recreate guides for each field office. But we currently have about 15 guides in preparation for publication for the international offices. And this has given us a unique opportunity as well to look into the role-based guides, as Lisa was talking about. We didn't want all of our international staff to be confused over the vast amount of guides that we had for domestic use. So SpearMC and Tarun, they've really worked with us on the role-based approach to offer guides to employees and to managers, and then to different country-specific regions. And also turning that widget on and off, depending on, where OGL is being developed and where it hasn't been yet. So additionally, we're getting ready to roll out our finance system domestically, and that's going to create a lot of guides. That's on our slate for the next few months. And we're really excited. We've originally purchased 3 licenses from OGL. And so we have 2 more that we're getting ready to deploy into custom applications, such as our donor management system called Innkeeper that Samaritan's Purse has built. So we're really excited to see how OGL works in a different environment.
Yeah, that's awesome, Amanda. And I love that the 3 customers here are actually very different needs, but this tool is really addressing all of them with respect to getting this, from 2 of you role-based guidance on how to do this. I know with your international let me ask you on the international piece. Do you have any guides that did you have any need for multi-language? Did you do anything that's not in English?
We have not had that need yet. We do know that it is in the near future for one of our field offices, but we have not been down that road yet.
And that is a great feature in OGL that you can really just, and I don't know how many people on this call would even care about multi-language, but it is very easy to just toggle over into a different language. There's even some automated translations of the content you have now. Of course, a native speaker would look at that natural language translation and probably want to make some tweaks. It's probably about 80% accurate, I'd say, but that is a feature that's available in that multi-language. Again, just another way to use it. And let me introduce the fifth person here in the group here, and that's Tarun. Tarun manages our implementations and is a real guru with respect to how OGL can be used. It really highlights our value as SPIRMC because, for example, this whole concept of using OGL based on role-based security in PeopleSoft is not, believe it or not, something that Oracle figured out. It's something that we figured out and we rolled it out to, and we've been rolling out to our customers. So we're the ones sort of figuring all that out. A lot of Oracle, what they're doing with OGL is really based on what a lot of their customers are using it for Fusion, for SaaS Cloud Fusion, which is great, but really figuring out how it's going to work specifically for PeopleSoft customers has really fallen on us, and Tarun has done a great job figuring out a lot of creative ways. It kind of bridges from the science to the art, and Tarun is an artist with OGL, so really excited about that. Tarun, do you want to introduce yourself and say hi?
Yeah, thank you for that great introduction. Yeah, if you have any questions about OGL, reach out to me through the conference or through my email, anything. I'm happy to answer questions.
And before we get into my questions, Pam Ingram, I see you've reached out and with a question, and so let me ask everybody here. So she wants to know about, basically how many people are dedicated to OGL creation, so OGL content creation. So Amanda, you just mentioned how there were a few folks that were working on the content. You own it from Samaritan's Purse, and we'll work with content writers essentially to do that. But you are essentially a dedicated person to OGL at this point. Is that true?
That is true. Like I said, we started with a group of, probably 15 or so business analysts and other people that were engaged in these processes, and, just saw quickly that, it is, I mean, it just is, it's a time consuming to build a guide. It's not something someone could sit down in 5 minutes and pop out a guide. And so with the already busy positions that we have, we just decided that most of that would come through me and my team. And then we meet with the subject matter experts, get the processes down, and then I've worked with consultants and to roll those out. We are getting ready to hire another personnel to take, or another employee to take this over, in addition to me, though.
And I think because of the complexity in your business model and the international presence, I believe that you're going to have a much more complex need around building guides and content than perhaps both Ben and Lisa. So it makes sense to probably have that reflected in your personnel model as well. But let me ask the same question to Ben and Lisa. Ben, do you want to take that one? So what
Sure.
is how many people are dedicated to this? Maybe talk a little bit about who you had internally to first build the content at the beginning, and then maybe what you have now.
Yeah, so we don't have anyone internally devoted to training or communications. Typically, our functional analysts would build job aids. We use those job aids as the foundation for our initial script build out that Tarun did for us. We've got a handful of people that can make small to medium size updates or create simple new scripts. But I guess, to Cameron's earlier point, if creating these is an art, then we're like doing karaoke and Tarun is singing opera. So in the long term, if we ever got to a critical mass of changes that we wanted, we'd probably reach back out to Spear.
Turn that's going on your resume, opera singer. All right. So yeah, I think Ben, just given the amount of guides that we first went live with, it was just a much simpler model. And I know at the time we were so early, we didn't even have our starter kit ready to go. Now, Lisa, you did use a starter kit, and that was helpful in the basis of building out your content. It was an accelerator. But again, back to the question, how many people did you have in the original project? Let me say from our side too, we have True manages a team of people. So we've got two core developers who are working with our customers in addition to True. We've got a couple more that have been involved with building out content. And I actually built some content myself as well. So back in the day, that's how easy it is. Even a caveman can do it. But Lisa, what do you have in terms of your personnel?
So we do not have any dedicated staff specifically working on OGL. It takes a team of us, and with our complexity as well, because of us implementing it on multiple pillars, we collaborate together to make sure that, to publish guides, to make sure we take care of those things that we need to. But yeah, we had the starter kit, which was an amazing way to kickstart OGL for us. And again, that starter kit included all the different pillars. And then on top of that, we had some additional guides that Spear created for us, because we had different functionality that wasn't included in the starter kit. And with, again, with OGL, it's like any new thing. It does take time to learn it. There's a lot of different tools in it to help us build the guides, but it's like anything. It just takes some time to learn it, and you have to push yourself to learn it. But once you understand it, it's pretty slick. And there are other functionalities within OGL, like you can clone a guide, so you're not starting from scratch. Like there's some other tools available that makes it easier as well. So
Yeah.
to answer the question specifically about people, I want to say there's roughly about 8 of us covering all the, not dedicated though, just 8 of us that could go in and help create guides or make changes to them.
Yeah, and really, I don't see this as something that you would need, any organization would need new personnel, because essentially this is a tool for the existing personnel that you have that are involved in support and training already for your organization. I would imagine that most organizations have individuals already doing support and training. So this just puts a tool in their hands to really provide and digitize those offline job aids, bring them into the application, bring them into in-app guidance, and then constantly care and feed for it, because you're going to want to continue to address as things change, as your business changes, as the users are asking for more. You're going to want to reflect that in updates to your guides. Since you were talking about starter kit, I took us down to the appendix, where we have the starter kit listed out. Our starter kit is really based on pre-built content. Like I said, Oracle is not producing any content for PeopleSoft. That is where we've come in with our starter kit. We have around 130 guides in financials, about the same in a little bit more in HCM, and about 110 in campus solutions. By the end of this year, early next year, we're going to be around over 200 in all 3 of those pillars. And so we're going to continue to build out content. And again, the idea with the content is not that you can turn this on out of the box, but we fully expect you to contextualize it for yourself. We just think it's an accelerator, that if you want to know how to, for example, here I'm looking at this, close a voucher, You can start with the guide. It tells you, it has the navigation, has you take it into the page. You can then just go into that page and add a couple of different steps if you want to add more language, change the language in it. And we just feel that that should be an accelerator, and that's what we're going for. We also have a couple of things, like, for example, how would I roll out a remind me later feature? In other words, I want to tell people about a new feature, but I want to allow somebody to click on a remind me later and to then see it later on. Well, we built that into a model for you. You can essentially take it, see how that works in that model, and then roll it out for your organization, or let's say a survey. And so that's what we do in our starter kit, and is part of our model for licensing, and then the sale of this starter kit. So anyway, let's get back to some of the questions. And before we get there, let me, Tarun, if you can keep those questions up without clicking on answer, I can still see them. There's been a couple that were up there and then they left. I want to make sure these are the questions are asked and answered that are coming through the QA panel. So there's a question. Thank you, Sasank, for whether if new guides are automatically showing up. And Tarun answered that in the Q&A panel. You can see that answer related to the publishing process. So there's a publishing process that you're working on them in a non-prod environment, and then there's literally just a button that says publish, and it takes those guides and make them available in your production environment. You can still continue to work on them. You can update them and then republish as well future updates. All right, and then there's a question from Pam. We have a communication person dedicated to our PeopleSoft team. Seeing they would give you primary and views, okay, and then Ben and Lisa are offering some feedback on that as well. And all right, so let's come back over here. I got a few sort of seeded questions. Let me see if I can find that spot back here in the guide. All right. Again, feel free to continue to ask questions. Throw those in the Q&A. I trust that people can see those. They can see them, True, right? Even if people answer them, they can still see the answered questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully there should be like an answered tab that you can go to.
Yeah. Hopefully people can still see those answers. All right. Okay. But feel free again to put up those questions. Thanks, Randy. All right. Question for everybody. And I always get a little bit, I start to sweat a little bit when I ask the question, but I have to keep it real. What do you like and what do you not like about OGL? So Lisa, you want to start with this one?
Sure. What we like most about it is it's a non-technical tool that allows functional users to quickly create and publish guides, or more than guides, because we talked about the other smart tips and such without technical assistance. So it's putting the non-functional users in the driver's seats. Yes, there's a learning curve, but once you got it, it's pretty streamlined. We also really like the role-based security that was added to the guides. Good job, Tarun. We made that work. And one thing I was just going to add about that, for those that use it across multiple pillars, we use portals. So what we did was we added a table in our portal environment, as well as all of the other pillar environments. And once we update the role mapping and portal, it updates to all the different pillars. And then we just apply those roles to the guides in OGL. But we really like all that. The only thing that, I kind of mentioned this already, is just the learning curve, but it's like anything. You just got to give it time, and it'll come. So.
Yeah, and let me just say because I didn't say this before, but Sasank is actually on this call, and if you don't know Sasank, he leads People Tools Group for Oracle, and we're obviously very close with Sasank. We're also very close to OGL people, and we've actually had a couple of times already early on with Ben where there was something that got broken, and when we were able to get involved and kind of bring the right people to the table, that issue got figured out pretty quickly, and a patch was brought out for people. But I will say also, in terms of the roadmap, this idea of PeopleSoft roles and exposing them into OGL is something that we have communicated, and is something that may come in the roadmap. I can't speak to that because we don't own the roadmap for either one. but it may be something that doesn't require an artist in the future or an opera singer. So hopefully that'll be available to us in the future. But in the meantime, we've got a way to work that. Okay, Ben, things you like, things you don't like about OGL.
Yeah, so I'd say what I like the most is that it's there at point of need, and that can be both sort of the user's self-identified need is I need to do something and I don't know how, and here's the widget I can click on it, it's going to show me how. But then it also allows us centrally to sort of tell the users they have a need on a particular screen and put something in front of them directly, or give them links out to other resources where they need it. We had an issue with something where somebody put a comma in a box where commas weren't expected, and it caused a unique constraint. And I think we ended up putting in a modification to lock down the box. But while we were working on that, we put a little message up in OGL, don't put special characters in this box. And that sort of gave us a quick way to get a message in front of people when they needed it. On the dislike side, I'd say that it is, to some extent, it feels a little bit like a cloud product, both because of its orientation towards Fusion. So actually, I was going to say what I dislike is that we were an early adopter and didn't get role-based OGL, and now it's been figured out in North Dakota and Samaritan's Purses have role-based OGL. So I'm very jealous of that. But I think within the tool, if you were running Fusion apps, it would be natively role-based without necessarily needing a level of artistry. And so, that is just sort of an area of the tool that we don't use. And then similarly, as with other cloud-based products, it's continuously being updated, and without a new resource, sort of look at what's rolling out, confirm that it's something that we could take advantage of in PeopleSoft. Like, I don't know that I couldn't be doing more with the tool, because I know Oracle certainly seems to be updating it faster than we're able to review the updates and improve our scripts.
Yeah, I think I would say on this one set of two questions, you could answer both that it's a SaaS, right?
Yeah.
What do we like about it? We're getting new features every 3 months. What do I not like about it? I went in to do my demo just a couple days ago, and I said, Shroon, this looks totally different. And there was a little thing that had been switched because it's a SaaS and the rollout had happened. And that is just the nature of SaaS. And unfortunately, all of us diehards with legacy software like PeopleSoft have to accept that. We already accept it with respect to MS Office. Most of you are in Office 365. So you already see this from time to time, and it is going to become part of the norm for us. It is a little disconcerting when it's our enterprise application that we own that starts to change, but it is what it is. And I think that's it's something we can always get around. Sorry, Amanda, do you want to answer this one as well?
Yeah, I would piggyback off of Ben there to say the the widget, the guides being available when people need them for that just-in-time training, providing real updates to people as they as screens change or whatever for best practices. I love the job aid feature here too, because it feels like you're killing two birds with one stone. You're presenting the user with an interactive experience, but you're also providing, I'm sorry, I was getting some feedback there. You're also providing a built-in job aid that they can reference at any time. So by changing the guide, you're automatically changing that job aid as well. And those job aids are easily housed, where all of the employees can find them quickly. Whereas we've had job aids, in several different places in the ministry, and those aren't always right at hand for people. Yeah. So I love that.
I brought us the page that shows you job aids. They each fill step. I didn't update the slide. The job aids are available, so you don't have to walk through the guide actually in the pages. You actually just look at it, and that's called that's the job aid. So you actually can see all the steps, the language about what each of the steps are. You can print it if you wanted to. You can send it in an email. So that's a really great feature as well. I'm glad you mentioned that. Another one question before we go to the next set of questions came in from Laura Dreyer. Great question. Are you writing OGLs for your PeopleSoft support teams as well as your end users? I'm thinking about things like Restart Bill's new vendors. And I think that's a great idea. In fact, we are doing that in our starter kit. we're doing things like enterprise components, things that you may not know. Many of your PeopleSoft support people might not know how to do. Like, for example, how do I create a tile? How do I create a tile? How do I go in and do patient bill configurator? So these are things. How do I build a query? I mean, things that are more beyond your academy. There's things that would be more niche things that would only be for even a support group. You can do that too. And so we've got a lot of that built into our starter kit as well. So yeah, great question. Let's see. One more question. Before we get to another one came in. Did you look at any other digital adoption platforms before choosing OGL? And how did you choose OGL over the others? Ben, did you look at any other digital adoption platforms? You're muted.
Sorry. Sorry. We didn't look in depth at other platforms. You know, I knew I wasn't going to have a dedicated person to support this. And I think that another platform would have likely, required, either an in-house resource or a consultant to go build those things for us. They wouldn't have been as tightly integrated with PeopleSoft if we did something like Captivate. So we would have still been in this model like we were with UPK, where the system was here and training was over there, and you could do one or the other, but not both. So OGL, seemed to really make sense as a way to get the information closer to the users.
Yeah, and we talked about look away training and we just didn't, OGL just offers that in-app guidance, which is just totally different from Captivate or anything else. Captivate still is a great tool for producing content. You can still do that with like videos and all that kind of stuff. And you can actually embed that into your process guides. So if you have that, you spend time investing in Captivate or any other tools to build really great content, you can still use that. You can embed videos, you can link out to other documents. So that's totally part of the process. But what you can do then is say, hey, I've got this really great video, watch this video, and then you click next. Now you're actually doing the thing, and it's all integrated right there in PeopleSoft. So that's a great way to integrate that. Lisa, did you guys look at any other digital option platforms?
I was gonna say that I think, we were kind of not sure if OGL was available for on-premise because that's what we use. Because we had thought OGL was only available for the cloud, but later found out that we could utilize it. And once we had the demo, I think we were sold on it because it did integrate with PeopleSoft, and it seemed like a more seamless solution for us.
That's great. And Amanda?
I can't answer that for you, Cameron. I wasn't a part of the team that brought in OGL.
No problem. No problem. Okay. In Troon, if I might need you to take over if my audio is getting too bad here.
Of course.
So let me know. All right, I think I'm gonna skip this one, the user adoption. I think you guys spoke to that a little bit. Let's go next one. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the linkage between your actually hold on. Before I do that, there's one more question. I'll just answer it real quick. So there's a question from an anonymous attendee. Do the job aids get updated when the look and feel of the underlying system changes? No, they don't. What happens is with that is you can capture the screenshots by just simply going through the guide a second time after your underlying screens have changed. You just go through it again, and it auto captures all the new screenshots, and so it's a very quick process to then recapture job aids if the underlying system look and feel changes. All right, back to these questions. So I want to talk a little bit about the linkage between support and your usage of OGL. Have any of you, I know we're really early in all of your usage of OGL, have anybody seen any kind of linkage between the support side and your metrics and feedback you're getting on the support side and your usage of OGL? And sort of embedded in that is the question about how you're using analytics and reports. I think some of you already answered that a little bit. I'll leave this card open to whoever wants to answer. Does anybody want to answer? Maybe not. So I think we're still early on this, right? Maybe we're just not quite yet to looking at metrics and tying it out to production. So this is something, and I'll just if Kaiser was on here, Kaiser would be able to, and they were one of the pioneers to actually build out OGL for PeopleSoft. Because they're in year, I think 3, they're seeing significant decreases in fact, if anybody was on that call earlier today, Teresa spoke about that for Kaiser Permanente, significant decrease in the how do I type of questions and calls that are coming in. Those have almost been eliminated, which is really a powerful statement from them. Oracle also publishes their own metrics for the usage of OGL. The OGL is practically ubiquitous across all of Oracle systems, even for the systems that we use as a partner and employees use there at Oracle. Things like their own HCM system, or me as a partner who has to interact with some of my partner tools on OGL or on Oracle, on Oracle's website. OGL is embedded into all of that, helping me through all of the, which is really incredible. They're using their own product, and they reported about a 70% decrease in support tickets related to their own HCM system internally. And that's not PeopleSoft, that's their cloud HCM system. But same concept, that the introduction of OGLs reduce those support tickets. All right, let's see, any advanced features? Perhaps maybe change the question a little bit. It's Sasank wanted to jump in there and tell us that OGL is actually embedded in my Oracle support communities. I don't know if has anybody actually seen that. I have not been in the support communities recently, so I haven't seen that. But if not, there's a good reason to go out and check it out after this call and go see how OGL is actually embedded. You actually get to experience it for yourself and what as a user. All right, so last question here. We just got about 5 minutes left. Are there advanced features or advanced things that you want to do or have done? And I think we're still early with each of you. So let's talk about things that maybe you want to do. We didn't talk about, but hotspots track users' behavior, let's say going to a specific screen and capturing metrics about the people going to a certain screen. Things that maybe we're looking for activating messages or process guides based on a combination of things, the step conditions that it sees behind the scenes. Anything that's creative that you guys are thinking about that you now can do with OGL? And I'll again leave that open to anybody who wants to answer that.
So I can start with that, Karen. A couple things that we've done so far is including links that'll go to another site with additional information that's already there. And then with the advanced activation conditions, we've added and I mentioned this already, but that's where we would add that OGL role mapping, as well as, conditions as far as showing certain smart tips or whatever, maybe the first 3 times that somebody logged in or something, but that's the extent of us using some of those advanced features.
We also did something similar. It's performance evaluation season at Samaritan's Purse right now. So we had a video from Edward Graham come up and just talking about the importance of performance evaluations and just reminding managers some good points about performance evaluations. And so then we were also able to use the advanced conditions to only allow that video to come up on a certain screen a certain amount of times. And then there was also a certain time period in between times that the user would see it, and then they wouldn't see it after so many times. I'm not sure if I already said that, but it was a cool function for us to use.
Yeah, we've done some of that as well with the activation criteria, links to outside resources. We haven't done embedded video. Because we were using OGL to support our Fluid Go Live, one thing that we did that I think was a little more advanced, or it seemed that way to me, is that we really pushed our OGLs to direct users through tile navigation rather than through menu navigation, because I didn't want to go live with Fluid and have everyone just, oh, I know where the menu is. I'll go find things through the menu where I've always found them. And that I think required some context sensitivity so that it would direct users to the right tile sort of regardless of where they started the guide, which I think was a bit advanced.
Yeah, that idea that you can kind of subtly affect people's behavior without them knowing it is really cool. I like that idea, and I like how you guys used it at that point, that sort of inflection point when you went to Fluid to say, you know what, we're going to try to change people's behavior from the navigation in the menu to the tiles. I know Sasank and the PeopleSoft team at Oracle would love people to be using search more too. And that's a great option too, to try to encourage people to use search for menu navigation.
I've got a little OGL hotspot next to my search, like with a tooltip on it. And if people click on the tooltip, it brings up an outside video, not an embedded video, showing like this is how you use search. This is what it would do.
That's awesome. Yeah. Very cool. So many features, so many different ways to address so many things that we just didn't have any tools for previously. And this tool does a really great job of just meeting all those different needs. I'm thankful to all of you for being a part of this customer panel. Thank you for being customers and going down this journey with us. I see several here on the call who were about to be engaged and do some additional work. So I'm excited to build additional customers into our ranks. So reach out if you have any questions. Feel free. I think is my contact information on the next one. Oh no, that's just that. Okay, let me go down to this one. So all right, so there's my email address. Of course, I think I think I have my phone number at the top of this screen as well. Tarun is also can be reached. You can find him on the conference site. I'm sure you can reach out. I don't know if you can get to his email address, but he's available to answer any other real technical questions or anything like that. You can do that as well. Really appreciate everybody's time. And thank you also to Amanda, Lisa, and Ben to agree to do this. Fantastic. I really appreciate it. And several of you guys are going to join me on the one that I'm going to do next week from Down Under. When I go to the Higher Education User Group Down Under, we're going to do the same session again next week for all that audience down there. So really appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, reach out. We're here to do demos and give you quotes on how all this stuff works. So have a great rest of the day, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you, Cameron. And thanks to all our panelists for joining us today. And especially to all of our attendees for spending your time with us at Reconnect. We hope everyone has a great day.
All right, thanks.